You did it this morning. You didn't think about it. You walked to a room, closed the door, sat down, and it was done. Safe, private, handled. For most of human history, that moment was one of the most dangerous of the day. The obvious answer is that ancient humans just went wherever they wanted. In the woods, behind a rock, done. No system, no thought, no consequence. But that explanation collapses the moment you look at what was actually waiting for them out there. Because the threat wasn't embarrassment, it was teeth. Large predators don't chase prey across open ground when they don't have to. They wait. They learn patterns. And nothing in nature is more predictable than defecation. It happens at roughly the same time each day. It requires stillness, it requires distraction, and it pulls you away from the group. A crouching human, alone, focused elsewhere, is not a threat, it's an opportunity. Saber-toothed cats, hyenas, leopards, these animals didn't need speed, they needed patience. And defecation gave them exactly the window they needed. This is where it gets strange. In 2021, a team of researchers studying chimpanzee behavior in Bossou, Guinea, documented something that had been observed but never formally analyzed. Chimpanzees almost never defecate alone. They cluster. They time it near others. They position themselves with sightlines to the group. Chimpanzees share 98.7% of our DNA. Their anti-predator behavior during defecation is not random, and the implication is that ours wasn't either. The real system wasn't built in ancient Rome. It was built long before cities existed. It was behavioral, instinctive, and it was shaped by death. Here's what researchers found when they started analyzing fecal deposits at Paleolithic campsites. At Ohalo II, a 23,000-year-old hunter-gatherer settlement on the shore of the Sea of Galilee, excavated by Danny Nadell and his team starting in 1989, they found something precise. The human waste wasn't scattered randomly across the site. It clustered at the edges, not near food preparation areas, not near sleeping areas, at the margins, away from the center of camp. Not because anyone told them to, because the ones who did it near the center got sick, and the ones who went alone past the perimeter didn't always come back. Both pressures pushed the same behavior. Go to the edge, go with someone nearby, go fast. But here's the twist. The predator problem and the disease problem weren't parallel threats. They were in direct conflict with each other. Going further from camp reduced contamination, but it increased exposure. Going closer to others reduced exposure, but it increased contamination. There was no safe answer. Every choice was a trade-off between two ways to die, and this is where simple stories break, because what emerged wasn't a solution. It was a negotiation. Anthropologist Tina Lasisi, working on early human behavioral ecology, noted that many hominin groups appeared to have developed what she calls defecation zones, not latrines in any structured sense, but consistent spatial areas used repeatedly over time. The evidence comes not from fossils but from parasite eggs. Helminth eggs, intestinal parasites, survive in soil for thousands of years. When you map their density across an excavation site, you can see exactly where people went. And in site after site, the pattern is the same: concentrated, peripheral, consistent, not random, not instinct, deliberate, which means at some point, before language as we know it, before agriculture, before any institution, someone made a rule. And others followed it. Now go forward about 20,000 years. You're in ancient Rome, 100 AD. The forica, the public latrine, is warm, social, crowded. Men sit side by side on stone seats with no partitions. Conversation flows. Business is discussed. Philosophers quote each other. The Romans had running water, dedicated infrastructure, sponges on sticks used communally. It looks, on the surface, like civilization's answer to the problem. But the paradox was this: the Romans understood engineering and understood nothing about germ theory. The shared sponge, the xylospongium, moved bacteria directly from one person to the next. The drains that removed waste also connected every building in the system. In 2016, a study published in the journal Parasitology, led by Piers Mitchell at Cambridge, analyzed latrine sediment from Roman sites across Europe and the Near East. His conclusion: intestinal parasite rates in Roman populations were no lower than in pre-Roman Iron Age populations. Possibly higher. The infrastructure made things look cleaner. It didn't make them cleaner. Sanitation, as a social performance, arrived before sanitation as a biological fact. And this thread runs all the way forward. In 1854, a physician named John Snow mapped cholera deaths in London's Soho district onto a street grid. 578 people died within 2 weeks. When Snow drew the map, the deaths clustered around a single water pump on Broad Street. He removed the pump handle. The outbreak stopped. For the first time in history, someone proved, not theorized, proved that what humans produced could cycle back and kill them through water. It wasn't a new danger. It was a danger that had existed since the first settlement, since Ohalo II, since the first deliberate defecation zone carved out of the perimeter of a camp. Snow just made it visible. The danger was never the wilderness. The danger was always proximity to each other. You flushed this morning without thinking about it. The door was closed, the room was warm, it took maybe 90 seconds. And somewhere underneath that routine, underneath the porcelain and the pipes and the infrastructure built across 2,000 years of getting it catastrophically wrong, the same calculation is still running. Distance from the group, safety in numbers, risk of contamination, risk of exposure, the ancient negotiation still unresolved, just hidden now inside the walls. The saber-toothed cat is gone. The calculus isn't,